Good evening. We're already starting on a crazy note.
There we go.
Starting a little late, but we here. We in the building. Welcome to another episode of Relationship Flow Sip and Chat with your crew, Darrell and Doc, and we got a
We
couple
here.
other people that's going to join us. Ruth is going to be here as
A
soon as we
couple.
get her logged in. Yes, a couple. I
And who else?
invited I invited Erica to give us the millennial approach, to fighting because they think a little different than we do.
They do. I think that's a problem.
They think differently than we do. So
Right.
I'm welcoming that perspective. I'm really curious because I know that a lot of things that we think, aren't okay or that we're too old for. A lot of things
Right.
we don't want to be bothered with at these stages in our lives. They they are
Well,
all for it.
well,
They are all
with
for it.
yeah, with social media and things of that nature, they're seeing a lot different relationships presented, and it's
Hmm.
almost making it normal.
Yes,
So you
exactly.
see, I was watching something. It's I think it's named Blueface and Christian Rock, whatever it is.
What do
They
you
fight all the time. They fight every day. All they do is fight, and it's a TV network. I think it's called Zeus Network. It's basically made a show about them and showing them fighting, and this is what it is. So even this week, I think it was something where Chris Brown was like, "Oh, you guys are still vilifying me for something I did when I was 17. Not saying it was right, but I was young. I did it. That happened that time, and I grew past it. And you still are vilifying me for it. But these people are being celebrated. They're celebrated. So
right?
the Blueface character said, "Hey, Chris, man, you beat the wrong girl up. You gotta get a girl from the hood that'll fight back."
Whoa, that's
Like,
crazy.
wait, what?
Daryl,
This
I
is
just
what?
I just sent you her number because for some reason I can't forward that. So
Okay.
you send it to her directly?
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, I couldn't do it. But yeah, so I invited Erica. She's a early 30 something. So, to give us a little more perspective on what the younger generation is doing, what they're seeing, in the realm of fighting in
Right. Right. Right.
relationships.
Right. Right.
Yes, yes. So check in right now. We're doing check in. We're gonna wait for Neil to log on. But if you're following us right now, if you're online, tell us where you're at, where you're from, and what you're sipping on tonight as you listen to our show.
Right. What's in your cup?
Yes.
Ruth, check your Facebook Messenger.
Text. Oh, you sent it as Facebook Messenger.
Oh yeah, 'cause you sent it in here. I just saw it here. Okay. Why you texting me? I think people are weird. You got weirdos out here. I tell you.
Oh, people send
I
me
can't.
messages on Facebook that I don't see for maybe weeks at a
Right,
time.
right. Like, wait, sorry, I missed that.
Right? What? That was a week ago. Sorry, I
Hilarious.
missed your event because I didn't see that.
Right, right.
I
how's your
had somebody
how's your
call
week?
me. It was good. It was okay. It's a little busy preparing, for my book signing tomorrow. So
Right, right, right.
doing a lot of
Congratulations.
running around and trying to get things together. So
There
it's been
you
good. It's
go.
been cool. Hey, hey, hey.
Hello, folks. Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing. How are you?
Same, doing.
Hey,
You
hey,
might-
Ruth,
yes.
Ruth.
Hey, I was ready.
Yeah, she was ready. She was ready. That was
I
my
was
fault.
ready.
That was my fault.
It's okay.
That's right.
We're here.
I
We made it.
I know how to take responsibility for my part.
What's your excuse, Darrell?
I was I was I was here at 8 o'clock.
Well, we're all here now.
Right,
Yes.
that's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
Darrell, how was your week?
Again, man, these weeks go by faster and faster. I swear to goodness, we're back here already. But good week. Good week. Definitely got some fishing in yesterday with the warm weather.
Ooh.
So actually it was pretty good.
Did you go to work?
No.
He's like, don't ruin my fun. Work.
They'll be okay.
I know. When I'm in the building, I gotta have somebody hunt for him. Well,
Yeah. You better put out the listen.
Ooh, that's not good.
Listen. It is. You gotta have a good work-life balance, right?
Oh, for sure.
My balance is to life. Okay.
His balance is to avoid work
As much as he can.
Yeah,
right. That's the balance.
Yeah. That's my balance.
I'm not mad at you at all.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
I tell you, Neil was the one that convinced me to slow down and not work the way that I was working.
Because you were working. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's vitally important to the balance that you're talking about.
Absolutely.
Vitally important.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because I couldn't decide whether or not to leave that government job or to just switch out and do something different. She was like, girl,
you need to go. You need to come sit in the yard with me. You need to go. No, it's important. It is really
very important. And I vowed. I vowed I will never work full time for somebody again.
That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. Seriously. A little for this, a little for that, a little for you. It's the balance. Right. I'm already talking to our kids about that. Do it early.
I'm sorry. It's a lot for me. It's a lot for me. A little for that, a little for them, a lot for me. I'm just telling you the balance.
That's right. That's right.
How I have to go.
It can look that way. Yes. Yeah, you're better for it. You are better for it.
Right.
Definitely. Okay. Stress. Little added to my lifespan, I'm sure.
It's added a few at least. At least a few hours.
And even if you don't, you added some more you time. You added some more time that's based around what you want to do as opposed to you giving it to somebody else.
That's it.
And that's the point.
I just want to control my schedule and my day. I don't mind working a little. Don't get it wrong, but I don't want it to be the majority of my day.
Absolutely. I agree.
How was your week, Neil?
It was good. Again, that balance, a little work, a little play, a little me, a little hubby, a little Grandma Ruth. Everybody gets a little bit, but like you're saying, Darrell, I get the biggest chunk.
Absolutely. You have to, because you can't give too much of yourself away, right? Because then you have nothing to give.
I did all of that.
Right. Yeah. And we got to learn from that.
Yeah.
You have to learn from that.
I actually did that. So now I feel no guilt in the other balance.
Right.
How about you, Doc?
It was good. Just a little busy, running around doing stuff, but it was stuff for me.
I love it. I love it. He's finally there. I love it.
Yes. So it was a good week. Good week.
Very nice. Very nice. Makes us more pleasant, doesn't it?
I think so. I feel
less grumpy when I have more me time.
For sure. Darrell, are you sipping on anything tonight?
I have nothing tonight.
Oh.
So I'm just going to sip on this pure air. This pure air.
You don't want to go get your tea concoction or whatever that's.
I'm just going to sip on some air.
Well, you could have some of my old lady drink. I could share it.
What is that?
This is sure. That keeps the energy going. I usually don't show that publicly. I usually don't. My friend.
Hilarious.
No shame.
None. How do you think I do those workouts? I need some energy.
Hilarious.
Yes. I'm
sipping on a concoction that I made.
Is right.
Well, you know, when I have my book signings, I like to do like a signature drink. So this is a Royal Smile.
What's in that?
It has gin, Applejack, grenadine, your favorite.
That's my favorite. Yes.
Lemon juice.
Wow.
I use lemonade. That tones it down.
That's interesting.
It's a little sweet.
Just a little sweet? Is it a little tart?
Or no? A little sweet, little tart.
Interesting. Yeah. I know nothing about drinks.
I know.
Yeah, me neither.
You are Darrell.
Only thing I recognize is lemonade. Everything else, I don't know.
Well, I know the grenadine. The grenadine is
what. I don't know who grenadine is.
Grenadine is when I'm
grandma. Who is grenadine? Tell her she got a terrible name.
Juice, right? The cherry juice. When I'm out with my girls, I want to look like I'm having fun. So I'll have my Shirley Temple with extra grenadine.
Okay.
And that's nothing but juice. Nothing.
That's it. Just juice.
Gotcha.
It's a syrup, a cherry syrup.
That's it. That's it.
Makes it sweet.
And they rag on me, but hey, that's what I say.
All right, what are we talking about this week?
We talking about fighting in a fair and healthy way. Yeah, because we know that when you talk about fighting, people think about horrible conflict, and it doesn't have to be that way. There are ways that you can fight and not destroy your relationship, or not put it on the road to destruction. Because a lot of times people think that just because they said it in a fight, it doesn't mean anything.
Well, Doc, I would say one thing. I think that the problem is the fighting is becoming so normal, it doesn't mean the end of the relationship. You know, these fights are really nasty, down, dirty fighting, but it's almost commonplace. So it's not ending the relationship. It's like, this is how we're supposed to treat each other. We're supposed to do these things. And that's what seems to be the norm for a lot of people. Because you see it, like I said, you see it projected on TV, social media. It's really big. You see these shows. I was watching some show, and that's all they do is fight. Like, they just come to fight. It's really no show. It's just like they come to fight. And then the next minute later, they're laying in the bed all bruised up. Like, yeah, I love you. I love you too. Wait, what happened?
Kissing the boo-boo, right? Kissing it.
It's crazy. And I see the younger generation is coming up this way. So without anything to oppose that, I just can only imagine what's going to be acceptable. You know, people don't start looking for, like I said, what's a healthy way of disagreeing or fighting.
That's that what Mary posted in the group. I love you, but I'll F you up.
Right.
Like, really?
Like,
some people think that's okay. That's okay.
Right. I love you to death.
Literally, right?
Like, whoa, wait a minute. I don't want that type of love. I'm saying, don't love me that much.
No, not at all.
Don't love me that much.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, it's become a way of life for many. It's become a way of life. It's part of the relationship, if you will. It's expected.
Right.
It's tolerated.
Yeah,
and it's okay to have arguments and have conflict, but not these extremes that we're seeing with the violence and the aggression.
Right.
And the verbal
and the gaslighting and the all these things that are going on just are making these very unhealthy relationships, and it's
we're early on the sound effects.
I'm telling you. So when I'm doing my evaluations and I ask about domestic violence, if I'm not very specific and say, verbal abuse meaning this, that, and that. Emotional abuse meaning this, that, and that. People say no. I've never had a domestically violent relationship until I start going down the line and saying, "Well, has this ever happened to you?" And they're like, "Yeah." That's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's because the definition of the domestic violence just usually means, you uppercuts and wheel kicks. Like it has to be something that is physical. It has to be hurting someone. It has to be ID channel type things. And that's what we think. So we don't understand when you're calling someone a B or out their name or you're stupid. All these things that's domestic violence. You are violating your partner, right?
Yes.
And like you said, sometimes we think that's a normal way of talking to each other and we think it's acceptable because we're angry. Like Doc kind of alluded to earlier. I just said that because I was mad. But I didn't forget. I ain't gonna forget tomorrow or the next day or the next day. I remember what you said.
Once it's out, it's out. It's
right.
out. Mm-hmm. So,
and I believe that it's cumulative. So it starts there and it has to build. That whatever you did at first may not have the same effect the 14th time down the road. So now you got to do something else to get that effect you want. Because you're saying that for a response, usually, right?
Yeah.
You dumb B, you're saying that. Whatever you're saying for a reason, you want a response. But after someone has been called or something, they get kind of maybe used to it. It doesn't get that much effect anymore. So you have to now upgrade it to something different. Upgrade it to something different. And it continues to go. That's why I think then it becomes, really chaotic.
One of the things that I tell couples that are prone to verbal abuse of each other is I want you to think about these verbal attacks as putting holes in your partner. Think of it like Swiss cheese.
Okay.
So every time you make a verbal attack, you make a hole. Eventually, there's going to be so many holes that the person is barely standing emotionally.
Right.
They're like so flimsy at this point. And when they take, they use that image, it kind of helps them to see that, when I say you dumb B, this is putting a hole in her. And then, so we start talking more about how not to do this. What are better ways to communicate how you feel in the moment? But you're right, though, that it doesn't go away.
Right.
No.
It is cumulative. They may act like they're okay after you called them a dumb B, but as soon as you get mad again and call them another dumb B, here goes another wound.
And those wounds affect, I would assume, their self-esteem and their worthiness of themselves, of not being spoken to that way or not being treated that way. And it moves from, I think, even their partner to other folks. It's okay for, say, a bad boss to talk to me a certain way, or, it's okay for my children to speak to me a certain way. It just continues on because it's accepted at that level.
You're right. It's very true. They, once someone's self-esteem is so worn, they get treated poorly by most of the people in their life.
That's it. That's it.
There's the people around them know that it's, I'm not going to say they know it's okay, but they know it's tolerated.
Right.
Because this person has no comeback, or this person doesn't know how to defend themselves.
Right. You confirmed that the way I argue or fight is okay. You confirmed it by your response or lack thereof.
Right.
You confirmed it by not going against it or pushing back. Or even if you do push back, then you're supposed to push back. And I'm gonna say things even more more harmful to try to outdo whatever you just said, because then that's what it's supposed to be. We're supposed to be really, talk to us really nasty and then love each other in the morning. I don't know how that works.
Well, that makeup time. That makeup time.
Make it make sense. You understand me? So that's what's interesting.
But what you're saying, by the same token, I think that's maybe an expression of love to some people, because they get to make up after these toxic battles. Then, he's going to hold me, like you're saying, he's going to kiss my wounds and he's going to promise to never do it again, or she.
Right. So then I think, so that's why I was wondering, like, to continue to be in a relationship like that, you have to kind of now, your caring or your empathy, something has to change in you to allow this to happen and bounce back from it, right? You change the way you're looking at things, because you got to be, like, if you call me a B and beat me up all night and the next day and I'm still with you, there has to be a shift in you to make that okay.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow you're rationalizing that to make that okay to continue to go on.
Yep.
And be in that again.
And a lot of times you see that in violent relationships, the person is talking themselves into it in a way because they're saying they didn't mean it.
Yep.
They're sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And the person that's the abuser is usually confirming that by saying, "Oh, I'm sorry." They might even cry.
Mm-hmm.
They might, tell you how much they love you and that they'll never do this again before they blame you and say, "It's your fault that I did this.
You made me do it.
You made me do it."
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a mindset in some instances, but not a lot, but sometimes it's fear too. It's like, what else am I going to do? Where am I going to go? Or if I go, what's going to happen?
Right.
So can a healthier way be taught to folks on some level of
absolutely
what's
you always can learn if you're willing to learn.
So that's the key.
And that's what it takes about. And I think first you have to know there's a better way to do it, right? A lot of times if you saw this and they saw this and this is what they think is what it is, how it's supposed to be, you don't think anything's wrong. This is just normal, right? So you have to first know, like, wait, something's wrong. This is not okay. I shouldn't be feeling like this all the time. Arguments shouldn't end in you feeling terrible, right? Because you should be able to argue with someone and then still kind of maybe see it their way. You don't have to always agree or acquiesce, but you should be on the kind of, I see where you're coming from, and you guys should be able to move on, right? But it shouldn't be where you're feeling just bad and terrible about yourself, and you're still remembering what they said 3 days later because it becomes nasty. Then that changes the dynamic of the argument. And to me, it's probably whatever you're arguing about, you really are not arguing about because you're just calling each other's names. Wow. So you didn't resolve anything anyway. You just name calling, name called each other or talk down to each other.
Good point.
Yes, you're right. At some point, there's no conflict resolution happening. We're just battling each other.
Right.
And that's not constructive. But for some people, that's how they get off.
Well, and that's the other thing. Like I said, this is what you're doing this because like you're getting something out of it as well.
Yes. Even if it's diminishing that person.
Right. You hear the things where you say like, oh, we argue, but we make up better. That makeup sex is great. So sometimes you're going into it.
I've heard people say that.
Right. With the whole plan is we're going to sex it away afterwards. We're going to sex away whatever it was. I'm doing it on purpose because, that person's an animal after they get upset or, whatever the case may be. So you're doing it with something in mind, which is silly as well, but
I knew someone who would get in a mood where I don't even know, I can't even describe what she wanted, but she would, when her boyfriend would come around, she would just hit him. And she would just hit him and hit him and hit him until he got so tired that he would like shake her or grab her and then she'd be okay.
Well, listen, you saw what Jody did when he made a mistake and hit her. He ate her into some tacos. so I mean, because that's the result. Some people want that result.
Yes,
but people
want that response. Some people want that response.
Yes, you want that response. Like, okay, I took this, and now I'm gonna get this. This apology eating, and now I'm gonna make some tacos.
But it's a lot of times it's what they learned, what they learned about what love looks like.
Absolutely.
And what conflict in a relationship looks like.
Right. Conflict resolution, all these things. It's funny is, again, most of us are we're all a collection of our past, right? If there's nothing that changes that, then we're going to be what we learned.
True.
Right? And that's the simple fact. Until you see something different or experience something different, it's funny when you have. I know I had a friend who came from one type of background, and his girlfriend came from another background, and how they argued was very different. And his aggressiveness scared her to death because she never seen anything like that. I remember he was telling me like, yo, she was like scared. I just raised my voice and she was on the floor like, oh my God. But it was because she wasn't, that wasn't her life. It was very different. But it was great for him to see because then he was like, what, maybe, whoa, maybe, was it me? Like,
stop yelling at her?
Yeah, I hope he did.
Right. But like he said, that's what he saw growing up. Like my dad and mom argued all the time.
Yeah.
That was normal. You know what I mean? So he was like, I wasn't, you know, I wasn't doing anything but just trying to express what I was, in my point.
The way I know
but it was great. And it was great with having the conversation because he was real, to me, it seemed like he's really like, wait, maybe something I'm doing is wrong. You know, he wasn't like, oh, what's wrong with her? He was like, yo, bro, I didn't mean to scare her. It wasn't that. I was just, you know, like, stop, whatever he said, something, but he yelled and it scared her. So that was, it just shows sometimes your background will, you know, definitely dictate how you respond in these situations.
You are so right. And it's interesting you brought that point up because I remember that with my grandfather, who was always verbally abusive in a way with my grandmother. Really loud, yelling, screaming. So I was going to do the opposite and look for my relationship to be, don't yell at me and forget the name calling. We're not even going to get to
right.
But don't even yell at me. The same example you're giving, because that takes me back. It triggers me.
That's a trigger. Right.
So your past really dictates that, how you tolerate that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, it's tough because I think that something that's not taught is how to have a disagreement with someone else. Like there's nowhere that you're really, I don't remember growing up outside of maybe on a football field, they're like, hey, shake hands and get over it.
Right.
Other than that, there's nowhere really that shows you how to really have an interaction with someone and not make it be so negative.
True.
So you just do what you think you do, and you're used to just talking about people and yelling, and that becomes your learned innate, and that's just how you respond to things.
I think, you know, just the definition of conflict for a lot of people means that you have to be yelling and fighting.
And you don't.
Know?
Right.
And you don't.
Right.
You know, you know, conflict doesn't have to be a bad thing. So that means you don't have to make it bad. You know, you can have a conflict that ends in a good resolution for you and the person. Right.
I think what's the movie? One of the Tyler Perry movies. I can't remember which one it was, but it was the first movie I saw where they were talking about fair fighting. Like you need to fight fair. You shouldn't be calling names, and it kind of details some things. I'm like, whoa, that's interesting, right? So you can't, you shouldn't yell, you shouldn't cuss at each other. Okay, like they're weird. You know, that's weird. So you can't break stuff. Okay, right. But it's so interesting because this is what if this is all you see, it's normal. Right? Like, oh, I broke the lamp, but I didn't hit her or I didn't hit him.
Right.
That's not a big deal. Well, it is. Right? It is. But if you don't really know it to be something, then you do these things.
And in that fair fighting sense, setting up those boundaries for how are we going to fight? Or how are we going to discuss things that are hard, is what I say. Yeah.
And therein lies the problem. Because usually when things are not that, but those tough conversations that really challenge maybe your beliefs or their beliefs, where that's when it really becomes tough to discuss something.
The rules, exactly.
Like, hey, no, we're doing it this way. This is the way we're going to do it, right? And I think too, with the mindset that some men have of control instead of in the relationships to lead, they mean control, right? So they're going to control everything, and if you don't do it the way they want it to be done, it becomes a problem, right? So now you have a fight because you're not doing it the way I want to do it. That becomes a problem as well in a relationship, because now anytime they do something opposite, it becomes a problem. Now you're arguing about you dictating instead of, you know, being in a healthy relationship where you guys are partnering.
Fighting rules, yeah.
Yeah. So,
and what about in that, Doc, the folks that they set out to fight so they can get away at that moment? They do the fighting so they can
sometimes we got to get out the house because we got to get out the house.
Here she comes.
Yeah.
Why we gotta get out the house?
We need the sound effect, please.
Why we gotta get out?
Sorry, Joel.
You may have to go meet with someone else.
And who is this someone else?
Hi, John. I'll be the personal side effect for that. The sound effect. I'll do it.
You might have to meet with somebody else. No, but I mean, or even just to get away. Maybe you want to get away from the kids and her and everything. So you're going to start this.
We need rules about that.
Instead of saying, "Hey, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I just need to go out for a few hours. If you need to do the same thing, when I come back, you could go."
Well, remember, I think the problem with that is both people have to be okay with that. Because I could try to say that, but if you like, you ain't going nowhere, like, then we have a problem. I tried to tell you what I needed, and you really didn't.
That's true.
You didn't receive it, right? So it takes two people to fight fair. It takes two people to be understanding enough where if I do come to you, because if I come to you like, hey, listen, I'm kind of upset. I need to take a few minutes to myself. You're like, well, you ain't going nowhere. Well, I'm not going to do that again, right? So now I'm going to find a way to get out the house, and that's probably going to start an argument. Like, oh, you left the peanut butter out? I can't believe you left the peanut butter on the counter. I'm out. I'm going, you peanut butter lever outer. Like, now I'm leaving on the peanut butter.
Peanut butter lever outer. That's a good one. Say that one twice. Oh, my goodness.
Right? Now you're having the silliest arguments just to get away. And that's because it takes both people to try to kind of really, to be able to argue and be able to have those conversations. Because that was a big problem I had, was when people needed that minute to walk away. And I'm like, well, we're not done talking. Like this is not, we're not done. Who cares if it's been 8 hours? You don't get a lunch break. You don't get a lunch break into 15 minutes, okay? we have to finish this argument, and you have to agree to what I said for it to be over. Okay? This argument can be over as soon as you agree to the way I see it.
She like, Darrell, we've been talking about this for 2 days. I'm tired.
Right.
Listen,
I'm tired.
You ever been in an argument, people just falling asleep in the middle of yeah, then it's like, whatever you want. And I really felt like I won after I beat him into submission for 10 hours of talking.
I've been in that situation. Right. Where you set up the rules, we don't argue after 2.
Okay.
Because
that's a good one. That's a good rule.
We've done that because we're either A, too tired, and you're not really fully responsible for what you're saying, or B, you fall asleep in the middle, and then they're even madder. So
oh, you just gonna go to sleep on me, huh? You gonna go to sleep in the middle? You don't care about me.
It's 3 in the morning.
You gonna go to sleep?
6 hours. I am going to sleep. So exactly, we have to set it up. Rules.
But it took so long. It's so crazy for me to learn. Like, first of all, it is okay for someone to take space, right? And then saying, you know what? We're going to put a time limit on this discussion, right? We're not going to, because I know for me, I'll talk for hours, right? And it took me to learn that everybody don't want to talk for hours.
Darrell, no.
Right. Listen, I had to find me and had to be honest with myself that I can talk for hours, right?
Oh my.
And it's okay. But I'm like, it's not okay to do that because it went from maybe a conversation to an argument to a lecture.
I'm guilty.
Right? Now we're having a lecture because I'm just talking and the person.
There he got the whiteboard out, making diagrams.
I could see it.
Right. No. So it took me a long time to learn how to be healthy in the sense of when you communicate with someone, it's 2 people in the conversation, and they can you got to see what they can take, right? You can't just talk to somebody till their ears bleed. I'm like, why your ears bleeding, huh? Oh, you showing off? You showing off with your ears bleeding, huh?
I am guilty too.
Yeah, but I really felt for a long time where if you were walking away from the argument or you need to break that was the problem. You know, that was the problem. Oh, you don't want me, you don't love me. But that's all I knew. You know, I really was going off what I knew. And in those moments, I felt I was right. Like I didn't really, it wasn't like I was trying to manipulate or anything like that. I just felt I was right for like, if you're leaving, that means you don't want to be here. You don't want to have this conversation. It really felt right until you learned it wasn't. But
I can relate.
Know it wasn't.
Yep. I did the same thing, and mine stemmed from abandonment. Like, if you're walking away, you're done. You don't want to be here with me. Yeah. I took
Right.
it to the next level when the man was really tired. His ear was on the ground. It's like,
right.
He listened all he could.
Right.
And that's one thing. That's a complaint I hear all the time with couples where one person is trying to pull themselves out of the conflict, and the other person is holding on to their leg, like, no, you can't leave. We're not done.
Right. I was that person.
I
was on their leg.
You're not alone, Darrell. I'm going to admit it. Yeah.
Right. But it's like I said, if you look back, and I'm like, wow, I had so many misconceptions of what I thought was healthy.
Yep, we all did. We all did.
And then if the other person really didn't know what was healthy either, then we're both just thinking we know what we're doing, and we're just trying to figure it out, and it's not really working. So it's very interesting. So I think that is definitely needed, something to show how to have a conflict, how to have an argument with someone. And I think this is all walks of life, because I think we wouldn't have so much killing in our neighborhoods if we knew how to just resolve some issues
peacefully.
There's no reason why, if I'm stepping on your sneakers, you're going to shoot me. Like that.
Right.
Conflict resolution at its worst. That's the minimum. But that's what we know. We're so reactive physically that everything has to have a physical response. You do something, I'm doing something back to you. Communication is really not something that is taught, and that's the problem. So we definitely need, in all levels of life, how to fight. Whatever the rules would be, they should be throughout your life, not just in your relationships, but your relationships with everyone.
Yes.
With your boss, with your friends, everybody.
Across the board. Totally agree.
Right.
And one thing you alluded to, that the Gottman Institute, Gottman does couples marriage therapy. They have a therapy method, and they talk about repair attempts, and that they have to be given and received during conflict. Because someone might try to give one, but then the other person may not take it. Like, for example, if you say to your partner, I pick the kids up every day, and it gets in the way of whatever else I have to do it, or you're not taking any responsibility for picking up the kids. And the partner says, well, you need to XYZ to make it work. It looks different than the partner saying, yeah, you're right. I don't help out picking up the kids. So what can we do about it? That's a repair attempt, given and received. But a lot of times when somebody tries to make a repair attempt, the person is so much on the defensive that they don't receive it. They just want to talk about what the other person did or not doing or should be doing.
Right.
As opposed to taking their responsibility. Repair attempt.
Repair attempt. Got it. Okay.
Yes, repair attempt in the midst of a conflict.
So this is very important too. How you express whatever you're expressing to the person is very important, right? Because if you're, like I said, if you're doing it in a way that's making them defensive, you're not really going to get a good argument, a good faith argument anyway, right? Because if they're defensive, if you say it in a way that, like, you are this and this is what you do. If you're coming at somebody like that, they can't have a good faith argument back with you, because you attack them, so they have to be on the attack back. So you have to learn how to talk to people as well in a way that's really not combative, and I think that we need to get used to, and this was something I had to do. Like, I feel like this is happening, right? I feel like this may be
using I
statements, because you don't want to blame them, because it may not be someone's intentions. If you think, well, you're doing this, they may not be doing that. That's what you see it, but that may not be. So I'd be like, I try to make sure it's I statements, me, whatever the case may be. So I'm like, this is what I think. I'm not saying this is what you're doing, but this is what it appears to me. So now you can tell me yes or no. You got to try to find a way to convey your argument to whoever you're speaking to, so that you can start having that dialogue, right? But like I said, you can't attack people, because if you attack a person, usually they're going to attack back.
Yes, yeah. And in doing so, Darrell, you create that safe space. I had to learn how to create a safe space for my mate to feel like he can get his voice out there honestly to me.
Right.
Without being attacked or being on the defense.
Right.
Yeah. So we know that how you started is how it goes. If you start with an attack, you're most likely going to get an attack back.
And it wasn't intentional, right? Like you're saying, I didn't mean to be in attack mode, but those statements weren't I statements. They were what you didn't do. You didn't.
Right.
He's like, well, you didn't either. So now we got two Leos. Oh,
right. And no, that's the thing too. When when it becomes almost a contest of what I said, that's you did this, and you were like, well, you did this. Well, you did it, but you did this.
Yeah, exactly.
We can't have any resolve in anything if we just keep upping the ante. Right. If I'm talking about, I feel like you did this and it's bothered me. Well, remember when you did that? Huh?
Yes. Yes.
Well, we're moving all over the place because now you're each person is trying to have a reason to have argument. Why did it? Well, you did this, so you don't resolve anything because you just go back and forth and trying to up the ante on someone, saying what they did, and nothing gets resolved. That's also a big problem too, which makes. We think it's a way of fighting, but it's defensive again. We're going to defense, and sometimes people don't want to. You have to be able to hold yourself accountable, right? If someone is saying something, understand that this is how they feel, and you should be able to talk about it, right? Yeah. Once you start feeling like it's a personal attack, and again, it like I said, it depends on how the person is expressing it to you. But if this is someone you're with and care about, you should also know they're saying it in love, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Right? It shouldn't be a negative. Like if you feel like every time someone says something to you is a negative and it's an attack, maybe you don't want to be with that person. I'm just saying.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Right. If someone feels attacked every time you say something, then that's a problem.
And like you're saying, Darrell, when things are not resolved in that way, then the resentment sets in. And holding on to those tit for tat things to bring up at the next argument.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's not fair fighting. And I learned that the hard way too. Bringing up the stuff that we thought we resolved.
Kitchen sink arguments.
Yeah.
That's
when you throw everything in.
Anything I could remember. Anything I could recall. From 25 years ago.
Right.
That's not fair. Everything that you ever did wrong starts to come out.
I held on to all of it.
And it makes it very difficult to move forward if we're constantly moving backwards.
And he's like, I wasn't even with you then. You make
right. And then it becomes very unappetizing to even have an argument because you know where it's going to go. Right. Yep. You're like, oh, here we go. Never mind. You're right. So now you just start saying you're right. Nothing's getting resolved. Nope. And like you said, these issues start to build up.
Yes.
And then it explodes before you know, and now you're not together anymore because you never resolved that peanut butter,
There you go.
Peanut butter you left on the counter 10 years ago.
Yeah. Peanut butter left the outer. You keep, you left peanut butter out and you never really resolve that. So it totally can become a problem. And it's funny because people don't understand those little arguments can become big arguments. It can become something bigger than it is because you haven't resolved something else.
Right.
So
because
now you're
not. Yeah, I'm sorry, Darrell, but at some point you're no longer arguing about the peanut butter.
No. Right.
It's all the other stuff that never got really resolved. Yeah.
Or something new, something little. You're just putting your energy into something else, whatever's going on. Like you said, you came home 5 minutes late. I can't believe this. You're always late. Huh? That shouldn't be a big deal. But if you have a whole bunch of other things that are going on within you, now you're putting all your energy into that 5 minutes. And then for me, if I don't know you're dealing with all these other things, that 5 minutes seems trivial. I'm like, I don't believe you're tripping over 5 minutes.
True.
And they're going on. So now we're having an argument about something that I don't understand. And it's because you're holding on to things. And now I'm like, well, this sounds stupid. 5 minutes. So now the argument is taking another life.
True.
And now we're really getting into it over but it was some other things, but it came over to 5 minutes. And now we're talking about a whole bunch of other things. And now I'm leaving.
So true. And we know where you're going.
Right. We know exactly
where you're heading.
Hey, you gotta have a destination.
You going to the place where they don't eat, they don't argue with you, they don't.
That's right. I forgot about that.
They don't eat. Don't forget that.
They don't eat.
They don't argue. They don't talk back to you. They just sit there, wait for you to come.
Hilarious.
But true. Hilarious, but true.
Well, and it's funny because even, and like I said, the argument could be to get there, it could be to get there, or you can run away from the argument by having something like that there. Because now you can rationalize having something by saying, well, we're arguing all the time because you're not resolving anything.
No, it's in the fridge.
It's in the fridge. Buy the mayonnaise.
Buy the peanut butter.
Buy the peanut butter.
I thought I muted myself, but I guess I didn't.
You didn't.
Yeah, did not. We heard you.
The whole thing. It's in the refrigerator. Lucky you didn't say nothing else.
It's all
be like, ooh. But so how do we start to fight fair? Like, what do we do if we're used to these arguments? We see everything. How do we start? After we start getting that pre-contemplation, like, you know what, something's wrong.
I think, like Doc said before she had to run for a minute. I think by setting up the rules. I think first and foremost, how are we going to have difficult conversations?
Right.
I think you have to have rules established together. Like, you will not yell. That triggers me. Very specific and direct rules that you can follow. Right. And even in those rules, I think you have to also be like, I understand that, you may, because you've been doing it so long, you may yell again. But I'm going to say, if I remind you, hey, you're yelling, I should be able to be the opposite. Hey, you're yelling. And then that should immediately alert you to bring it down. I like the reminder piece. Yes. Because it can happen again. Right. You know what? It is going to happen. And it will happen again. Nobody changes overnight. Right. So we need help, especially if this is what I expect. This is what I do. This is how I handle things. So and we just need to have a gentle reminder. Hey, listen, hey, you're doing that thing that we kind of talked about, right? That we talked about that we're not going to do. I like the reminder piece. Yeah. Right. And that person should now be able to say, oh, you're right. Yep. Right? My bad. Then that, because that shows change. But if that person can't accept that gentle reminder that we already agreed that, yelling doesn't work for me. So we're not going to do it. And I ain't yelling. If they're doing that, then there's a problem. They haven't really fully accepted the rules. And that would be, and you have to now adjust the margin, maybe get someone else to help out, look into counseling or something like that, because sometimes you do need that second person to maybe say something that the third person, to say something that maybe they may hear coming from someone else. They may not get it from you sometimes, Right. Especially if you were part of this before, like, remember, you used to yell at me too. Okay. I did, but I'm trying to change that. Guilty as charged. Right. So you might need a third person in there to kind of say, to express the points of both sides, maybe, with that rule.
Did you talk about setting the rules at each argument? Because right before each argument, if you're going to have it, that's true. You should talk about the rules. We said the rules in general, but not at each argument. That makes sense.
So wait, so I don't know if most people can set the rules right before the argument. Like, hey, look, we're about to argue. So what I'm gonna need you to do is
get ready.
You know the conflict. You know what's going to happen. You sitting home fuming about something right now. So when they walk in the door that you want to fight. Okay.
So here we go. So we're at the drive-through. I grabbed the food and thanks, babe, or whatever to the girl. And now she's gonna say, hey, listen, we're about to argue. What I'm gonna need you to do is not be upset about how I respond to what you just said. No, you're not gonna. She's gonna be like, oh, that's your name now. Argument started.
No, if she's been with you for a minute, she might know that that's not okay to do. You might know.
Now I'm talking about the conflicts where you have to sit down and talk about something. Not these spontaneous.
Okay, that's different.
Okay. Gotcha.
Spontaneous things that's gonna happen.
That's different.
Right.
Yeah, that's
okay.
different.
Yeah. We weren't understanding that spontaneous one. Arguments about to happen. Warning.
Okay. I got it. So, like I said, something's going on. Look, I want to talk to you about something. I want you. Look, let's just make sure we stay calm. We're going to limit this conversation to about 30 minutes, and if we don't resolve it, we can come back to it. Let's not talk over each other. I'll talk, and then you talk, or whatever, something like that. Okay, I can see that. If you know that there's something going on.
Yep.
I can see that. Okay.
Yes.
His daughter.
Hey.
It's like two docs right now.
Look at him. Twinning.
Definitely. Two docs.
Listen, Darrell, I came ready to fight.
Okay.
See?
Let's go.
Well, the rules are. Let me reiterate the rules for you two.
Yeah. Hey. Let you know. And again, it's okay coming ready to fight as long as it's a healthy fight where we communicate with respect to each other and we hear each other out. Not saying we have to necessarily agree, but understand enough where we come from each other. But we can also understand our own points as well. So I don't mind you coming to fight, as long as it's healthy. If it's not healthy,
he's not staying.
You know what? I don't know what
sound effects getting aggressive now.
Right? It's always something.
So we said that we should set up rules. Go ahead. Go ahead, Doc. Okay.
I was going to say I invited Erica for the millennial perspective, which we talked about earlier on. We hinted at, we bounced it around a little bit. Well, we don't know because we're not really there, but we know what they say. We know what they say.
Right.
So I invited Erica to talk about that perspective, what she sees in her peers, and even in her relationships, how fighting goes.
like Blueface and Christian Rock, right?
Nah. I think that's in the millennial realm, but that's for them people a little bit younger than me.
Okay. Yeah, I think they are younger, right?
That is real extreme. Very, very extreme stuff. Yeah. 20-year-old stuff, but extreme 20-year-old stuff.
Yeah, I'm like, I was 20. I don't remember that. I don't remember that part. I don't remember
either.
Doing that and uppercuts and wheel kicks and then loving each other on camera next. I don't remember that being how it goes. Yeah, like they just fight all the time and it's okay. And they're doing it in front of the cameras, and I think that's really dangerous because these kids are really, like you said, the younger kids are soaking this up. And it's becoming the way to do things. And this is why we see DV at a younger age on a rise. It's crazy the level of DV, physical and verbal at this point. And like I said, it's not just one way that everybody's fighting each other. The people are fighting back. We're fighting each other. I'm hitting you first. Like I said, women are hitting first. This, now, and it's becoming, the wild, wild west of relationships. Anything goes, but they're calling that love, and that's the craziest part about it. That's what's scary.
Yeah.
They're like, yo, get you a girl like this that will stand with you through anything, even the uppercuts and wheel kicks. Like, that's not a good message to send.
Yeah, I can't speak for them folks because I like seriously, I couldn't even imagine dealing with something like that right now in my 20s. Like, it just seems so extreme and so far beyond that it's hard to believe that it has become a normal thing. And that people feel like it's normal because it is so extreme to see people go at it like that are supposed to love each other. It's really odd. It sets a really negative tone. I mean, I think I can attest to the fact that it is hard to fight fairly when you're younger, because all of your emotions, your lack of knowledge, your lack of maturity, you know, those are really, really big factors when it comes to having arguments and having disagreements at all in a relationship. That lack of maturity is a huge thing that causes a lot of that extremeness. Not that extremeness, but the extremeness that comes with arguing and not being fair when you're younger. Definitely the maturity, I would say, is one of the biggest factors behind fighting fairly, regardless of age. You know, if you can be, if you have two mature people fighting, you know, you have a certain level of respect for yourself, and you're going to have a certain level of respect for the opposite party. Now, it is often situations where you have one mature person and not another mature person. And in those cases, the mature person, it's almost like you kind of have to take the brunt of it all. You know, because you can't. I'm gonna be honest. I find it really hard to stay in an argument with someone who isn't arguing fair. Because it's almost like you can never get to the root of the problem. People who fight fairly never fight with, you know, facts or things that could I guess display more of what the conflict is, explain more of what the conflict is. It is usually some type of physical thing, some type of what you going to do, some name calling. It's never, you know, anything that actually attributes to the argument and moving it forward. So I'm gonna be honest, I'm mature enough, but I ain't fully mature enough to not get a little disrespectful back when
understandable.
You know, and it happens, and especially if it's a repetitive thing, like with the same person over and over again. You know, one day you could just walk away, shut it down. You know what? I'm not dealing with this. You going somewhere else. I'm gonna remove myself from this conversation, and maybe we can revisit it. It happened 2 days later, and you like, you know what? You getting me real close.
I got time today.
So I ain't got that time today. I'm not going all the way disrespectful, but you know, I'm right there. And then when you hit me 2 days after that, it's just like, man, you know what? You this, that, and the third. Like, I need you to just get it together a little bit. So it would be good to discuss more ways to stay in your maturity when you're dealing with people that aren't mature.
That's a good point.
That is definitely something that pushes an argument to another level where it doesn't need to be. I mean, we know that two people who crazy, that's what you're going to get. Neither one of them got sense. Neither one of them had maturity. So that argument is just going to be a mess. But you know, if you have two mature people, at some point, one of you will come to a point where, all right, this is too much. We both need to stop. But if you know, a mature person is somebody who just ain't got no sense, where do you go? Before knocking their head off.
I love it. Sound effect time, yes. That was actually a
hey Facebook user. She said,
we needed that perspective. We needed that.
And it's very interesting, and that is really the question, because I keep thinking that there's not many places to go to look for good representations of relationships, right? So if all these negative images of relationships are inundating with the people growing up, it becomes reality. And especially if you've seen it at home as well. If this is what you saw at home, you've seen on TV, like, you have no chance at even knowing what you're doing is wrong. Like I said, the guy said, get yourself a girl you can beat up from the hood and fight back. and he said it like it's okay. Like it was normal. Really, he just said it.
Normal.
She sat behind next to him and laughed like it was a joke while he said
like you understand, like get a girl that can fight back. Like, whoa, this is where we're going. And sometimes, especially younger, growing up, you can't decipher real from fake. Right. And you see this is real. Mm-hmm. He's a star. I have to believe him because he's on TV or he's on TikTok or he's on YouTube. I'm gonna believe that. Wow. And they push this type of narrative, the negativity, especially in our community, because I don't see any shows where, for the most part, other communities are turning up on each other like this. I just don't.
No,
right? I don't see most other
zombies
shows
are already dead.
Right,
they doing that kind of stuff.
Right. But the so-called what we call reality shows, like you don't see Kim Kardashian getting uppercuts and wheel kicks and saying it's okay. Mm-hmm. Right? You don't see that in other cultures. Our cultures, this is celebrated. We celebrate the negativity. Like something else I saw where it's a house full of women and they just fight the whole time. Like they come to fight. Mm-hmm. You understand? They pull up in the car, they all dressed up, and like, I'm here. Who want to fight? What are we doing here? You just pulled up with your best wig on, weaving, and you're about to get it pulled out. I'm confused at the premise of the show.
That's why we don't fight.
You understand? Listen.
That's a real good point, though. That's a really good point. And you know what? I don't even think I've even looked at it like that, just coming from a real surface place from it. Like you really done pulled that, you done put your best wig on, your best clothes on, your best shoes, your makeup, just to get it all jacked up. Like, and that's normalized.
That's right. That's the problem, because now we're so desensitized. This is normal. We don't see a problem because we're tuning in because we know they're going to fight. Like they're skipping the whole show where it's argument that led up to the fight. We're going right to the fight.
Right to the fight.
And then we're going rounds. They're going to fight 3 or 4 rounds too. They don't just fight once. They fight like these are pretty girls, and I don't understand their motivation behind doing this. Mm-hmm. Right? That's confusing to me.
Money.
You come to fight for what? Right? There can't be like. Where do you go from here? It's not like this is going to get you opportunities unless you're going to MMA. You're not going to get another show because I know as soon as something happens, how you're going to act or respond.
Yeah.
It's just you just really
part for the youth, because the people that do have these opportunities to put on their best wigs and go on these shows and fight are making money.
Yes.
And it's sending the message to these regular people, like, okay, so they understand, she making money doing that, but you're not. You're at home fighting LaQuisha from next door for absolutely nothing, for views, maybe for.
But I would definitely question if they're making money from this. I haven't seen a lot of them. You see them on the shows, you see them there, but I haven't seen any of them making money.
And if they are, it's not substantial.
Not substantial.
It's nothing. No life-changing money.
Yes.
Right. There you go. Right. And that's what happens again. And at the end of the day, I don't think it's the point. You see them on TV, so they must be right for doing it. Must be okay. And now I'm going to emulate what I see. Right. They're not. Cause they're like you said. They're out there doing it in real life. Mm-hmm. Right. And then they're out there getting locked up for it. They're out there getting charges for it. These people on the shows are kind of protected because you're doing it in the house.
Yes.
Well, you're doing it in the streets. So now you're going to jail. To me, it's like a way of controlling these kids' minds that look like me and look like us to do these negative things, to have these negative images of ourselves, because it's not positive, and they're promoting it. Right? They're promoting the most negative parts of us.
Yes, and unfortunately, we're watching it. That's the other piece.
That's the piece.
Without us viewing it, they don't have an audience.
This is true.
We're watching it.
But they fight from the beginning. Like, as soon as they get out the car, they fight. So I mean, that's I don't have to wait 5 minutes before I see a fight. Like about 5 to 6 minutes,
Even 5 minutes, we shouldn't be watching it. 5 minutes is no.
I mean, I'm just doing
all of us.
I'm looking at it for educational purposes. I'm trying to look at it to see research. Yeah, I'm trying to understand. I'm doing a study on why they do it.
5 minutes for that. That's right.
I just want to understand why they're doing.
They have these shows because they have big audiences.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And they want to see more and more violence, more and more wig snatching and throwing. They love it. They love it.
Right. So again, we have whole shows of zero conflict resolution, right? Because if you talk it out, if you try to talk out that fight, you're a punk.
Oh
you're soft, right? So the peer pressure is, I gotta fight. One girl was like, I don't know why we're fighting. I fought you 4 times. I don't know why we're fighting.
But in those instances, maybe you just need new circles because
right? if I gotta be prepared every time we go out to dinner,
and my wigs cost money. I can't be outside. No.
But it's interesting because, like I said, even auditions, like I watched auditions. The audition is who can fight the best. It's who can fight the best. You come there to fight on an audition. Like you fight, they had to shut the audition down for the one show because the fights just broke out all over the place and they couldn't control it.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, this is the audition. Like the audition
that's how they
didn't even get to the show.
That's how they pick the cast.
Yeah, it was like tough man who can survive.
Wow.
It's insane, but again, this is the problem because we have all these negative images that show us how to live or life, which is not real. But sometimes we can't, we don't decipher real from
real, REEL.
Right. So now what we're doing is we're out here emulating these things, and we think this is normal. And it's like I said, you got a whole
not just
network.
The women fighting each other on these shows. You see the people.
Oh, they got
the men fighting their girlfriend or manhandling or pushing or grabbing their partners.
Right.
Or the woman throwing something at them or slapping them or,
terrible.
Right. The most negative views of us are it's like a menstrual show almost. We're showing the most negative views of us and we're showing us in the worst light as possible. And I think they have to do that, especially after we started to kind of, people started to invest more in self, I think, over the last couple of years. We started kind of knowing who we were. A lot of things happened. We were standing up. We were, making some strides and like
therapy.
Yeah. So let's knock this down.
Yep.
Don't go to therapy. Just beat them up.
Let's bring it back down.
Yeah. No therapy. Just beat her up. She says something. He says something. Beat him up.
Oh my goodness.
That's the therapy you need.
I think that there is a bigger agenda behind it. Wouldn't be kind of silly as well.
There is a bigger agenda.
Of course.
Absolutely.
As Darrell saying, it's a bigger agenda.
Of course there is.
And again, it's only with people that look like us that you see these things. And that's really the biggest problem I have with it, because you don't see other cultures doing this. So that's why I said it has to be something that shows we're the only one shows that we're looking like animals, right? We're looking like straight animals, and we're signing up to look like animals. They're finding the right people, and again, and it's not the most of us, right? It's a small segment, but they're being projected as the norm. They're being projected as the norm. This is what and
it's a very small percentage of people, but it looks huge because you see them on TV week after week.
Absolutely,
and it's highlighted. It's highlighted. Absolutely. Wow.
So, and it's tough. And it's like, how do we counteract that? Because anything positive is not getting any promotion.
No.
Right. We're not going to push anything with a positive narrative when it looks like us at this point.
Yeah.
And we're so cool. We're okay with, selling ourselves out that we're like, okay, if I can produce this and I can make some couple dollars off of it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And I don't understand how we don't see something wrong with that.
Some of us do, but again.
Well, right. Yeah. We don't. Yeah. The problem is we don't run anything. So they put it, but I don't know. This the new network. I don't know. It's just crazy. And it's tough, like I said, because now you have to deal with it. Because even if you're a healthy person, you may meet, like your daughter kind of said, we may meet one of these people who are one of these people that just want to fight every time something happens.
Exactly.
They want to turn up. They want to cuss. This is what you have to. So now how do you deal with that? how do you deal with that? And it's getting tougher and tougher. It's really getting tougher and tougher.
It is.
Yeah, go ahead and elaborate. I really want to know how do we deal with? How do you deal with it?
I don't know.
That's why we're talking to Doc. We got Doc here for these reasons. He's supposed to come with the solution.
It's too close to you two. No. No. It's like a teacher when I tried to tutor my own kid. I had to go get another.
Right.
Nope, it didn't work. It did not work.
Well, nobody did work because the conflict resolution broke down. You can't get that problem. I explained it to you 5 times already.
You won't find it until you learn this.
Right. The answer is 35. You can't see 35.
It was too close. You're so right. I had to pay to play. Had to pay a tutor.
But this is real. This is why I can't train anybody I'm with because, it's just different.
That's
and I'm like, I didn't showed you that 6 times. You didn't get it yet. Something wrong with you? You slow? I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. This ain't gonna work. You gotta get somebody else.
Too close for comfort. Yep. So we can ask Doc for help. Help us. How do we fix this? How do we get these folks on board without acting like this? What do we do?
The reality is, you can't. It's so hard for you to teach your partner how to respond to you when it comes to fighting, unless your partner is willing to be to learn and to listen. Because if you're the mature person, your partner knows that you're mature.
That's true.
Your partner knows. It's not a secret.
Right.
They know. But when you get into these conflicts, if that person is immature, they're going to do all the immature stuff. They're not going to want to listen to what you have to say. They're not going to want to follow your lead because you need to be wrong. Yeah, that's the issue.
Then we need a new partner.
Well, I guess like Doc saying, you have to start with
bring someone in.
Right.
Couples therapy.
That's true.
Right.
You can bring someone in.
Right, because at that point you need a mind shift. Right, your mind has to shift. You have to change the way you're thinking or seeing things. Right, and sometimes, like I said, you may not be able to do that with your partner because sometimes we don't respect our partner sometimes to have the knowledge that we think they have. Like you think you know everything, so you need to hear from somebody else.
Yeah, that's true. Just like you said, Darrell. If you telling your partner, look, you got to eat this, and that, so that you can get the figure you want, and you need to do these squats, and this, she gonna be like, yeah, right.
Yeah, okay.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
You train.
Right. Or sometimes since they saw you do something differently, well, I seen you eat that honey bun. But I'm in shape though. I'm in shape already. I can do that. So, there we go.
Girlfriend X.
It's not a fair fight.
Sometimes you gotta let them know. I can eat the honey bun. I can eat the honey bun. I got biscuits, and you got a cake.
Doc, we are not getting to that wedding, Doc. Not like that. Nope.
But if you're the mature person, you might have to say to your partner, look, these arguments are not going well. We might need to bring somebody else in to help us walk through some of these arguments.
And they've got to be willing, though. That's
something that you probably have to do when you're not arguing. When you guys are in a good place and you're having, a good time and feeling good about each other. That's when you can bring something like that up.
That's true.
You always messing something up, ain't you? You always got to do something to mess something up. We was having a good time, and now you're talking about some counseling. Who need counseling? See, this is why.
It could, it could go that way. It could go that way, depending on your partner's hostility level. So
what I think is that if you're getting to the point where you like these arguments are not going well, I think we need help because first of all, you're going to have these thoughts yourself, right? I think you need to actually have a plan for what you're going to do either way. right? Say, look, I'm gonna try to talk to them about, and this is what you're saying to yourself. I'm gonna try to speak to them because I think we need somebody else, right? We definitely need somebody else. This has been going on too long. I'm not happy. I'm not growing. I want somebody else to come in because I do want to save the relationship, but you have to also be ready for them to say, no, I don't want to do it. You need help. And if that's the response,
I don't want to do it. You need help.
Right. So now you have to be also prepare yourself. You got to prepare yourself to walk away. I didn't. I'm gonna catch it on the replay.
Yes, we'll listen back.
And then I'm gonna get. But like I said, then at that point you have to also say, you know what? If they don't want to take this step to try to help us, I have to walk away.
Right.
And you have to be prepared. That's at a point you have to be prepared to say, listen, if you're not willing to fix it, I'm tired of feeling this way. I have to walk away.
That's right. That's right.
So you do what you can to save your relationship. I say you fight for it. You fight as long as you can, but you fight as long as they fight with you. If the person is fighting against you, you can't stay in that.
Totally agree.
It becomes a battle for the health of the relationship. You know, then you're definitely not on the same page because the person is not worried about the health of the relationship.
No.
You know what? That's something really good that needs to become normalized. Because the normal thing now is, you know, I'm just going to keep fighting. Whether it's a girl I don't like and we in the same circle, I'm going to keep fighting. Every time I see you, I'm a fighter. If it's my boyfriend and we just, you know, we together, we just going to keep fighting. Not going to go anywhere, you know?
Yep.
Well, it's funny because we are taught sometimes like these things that we stick with. It's like, oh, you're supposed to fight for your relationship, but you don't understand what that means or what that looks like, right? You don't leave your man. Yeah, you don't leave your man. You stand by him, or you don't leave your woman. You stand by him. Well, what does that really look like when you give that directive? It doesn't really encompass everything. So I just stay not knowing that this is not going anywhere, but I'm staying, trying to fight when there's nothing to fight for if the other person is not fighting with you.
Good point.
I don't think people really realize how much of that stunts the growth of an individual in a relationship.
Yes, it does.
People don't value growth either. Within themselves or the things around them.
No.
Some people are very comfortable with where they are. And when you're comfortable, you can compromise and do things that you really shouldn't do.
Yes.
And it shouldn't be normal to do that, because when you're in a relationship that's not going anywhere, you both become stagnant, individuals in a stagnant relationship. And that's something that's also normalized too when you see these couples that are fighting over and over and over again on the television and on YouTube, and every time you turn around, but they're glorifying the fact that this is happening. But the reality is these are people that are going to stay in the same place for a very long time, either together or individually. And people have to start to value themselves more to understand that life is about growth. You're going to go through things, and you might go through something more than once. But when it comes to fighting in relationships, if it is a constant battle over and over and over again, and you don't want to fight healthy, and you don't want to bring someone else in, and you don't want to make progress, whether it's the both of you or one or the other, then it's time to be okay with stepping away for your own growth.
Totally agree. And that shouldn't be viewed as failure, but growth, as you're saying. That's right.
Right.
Yeah, but you're right. Some people will just stay in it for the look of it, for the sake of it, to say, I have this partner. And that's it. They stay right in that place for decades. Decades. So
and brag about the number.
That's what gets me. I cannot stand that number thing. Oh, I've been with him 30 years. And you've been miserable, like Darrell says, for 29 out of the 30.
Right. Well, people have to find a way to justify whatever they're doing. Right. So what you're going to do is you're going to take whatever is good and magnify that. So it will be, we were together 30 years. What do you got to say about that? Like you said, but it's not talking about what those 30 years look like.
No,
it's not really saying how you feel about anything.
Exactly.
But that's just your way of trying to say
this is okay.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool.
And it's not. And it's not.
Right. Your goal should not be a time period. Your goal should be to be happy with someone.
Right.
That should be your
throughout
goal.
it. Right.
Independent of anything else.
Someone.
Right. It's being happy, healthy, and being able to communicate with each other effectively. That should be our goals at this point. It shouldn't be getting married. It shouldn't be finding a prince or a princess. It should be finding someone that you can really spend your life with and be happy. Because that's, at the end of the day, that's all that matters, is being happy. Being in a relationship that is constantly battling, releasing cortisol in the body, it's just breaking you down. It's just killing you. That relationship is literally killing you. Literally killing you.
Stress.
And draining you out slowly, little by little, till you're left in a puddle. Nothing left. Yeah.
We talked about that, a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
The toxic stress?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's crazy. It's something else that we're so used to doing. We're so used to living in fight or flight that this is normal.
Yes.
Especially for us. People like us, we're so used to having everything be so toxic. It's normal to do this. And we're used to being this. And our bodies are just being ravaged by it. I think some studies that shows that, even up to the age of 10, the kids' bodies are already looking a lot older because they're in fight or flight. And it's just destroying their bodies already. It's deteriorating it because there's so much going on. And so we have to stop killing ourselves. We really, because that's what we're doing.
I'm working with a lot of people on recognizing that they're under pressure and under stress, and a lot of times people don't even realize until they learn how to relax. They don't even realize how much they're in a stressful mode.
Nope.
It's amazing. It is unbelievable.
Yep.
Unbelievable. That a lot of there's a lot of people, especially a lot of African American people, are in fight or flight every single day of their life.
It was so interesting for me moving to like an urban area, then moving out to a more rural area, and the difference was crazy. Like I felt the difference. Like you felt different. Like just walking home, I didn't have that fear of my shoes, them trying to get me for my shoes. Dudes from the other side trying to, do something. I could walk home. Heard the birds chirping. It really was a culture shock to be able to live kind of like you felt
relaxed,
right? You felt safe. So it was very interesting. The difference was night and day, and you felt it. Like I remember feeling like, this is cool. I can be a kid. I can be a kid here, right? I don't have to worry about making adult decisions or or any of the things that I had to worry about being in the inner city. It's a big difference. So I see how you can, if you grow up in different places, how it can really affect you.
Yes.
Your life, like how you feel, how you act. You know what I mean? It was a lot different.
And that definitely contributes to how you fight.
Yes.
Because if,
absolutely,
when you're in that mode, everything feels like an attack. If your partner says, I don't like that you came home late, that's an attack. It could be the most mundane thing. But when you're in that mode, everything feels like somebody is coming for you.
Well, I know what she meant when she said that.
What?
When she said I came home late, I know what she was alluding to. She ain't slick.
You're right. The environment matters too. The early environment. Yep.
It does, because like Doc said, it shapes your perception. So someone could say something that's, even if they ask, like, hey, I see you came home later today. What's going on? Everything good? They may take that as something too.
Yep.
Like, what you mean? I'm cheating on you or something? I ain't about cheating.
Yes.
I just asked, Could have been an accident. Tire could have got flat. It could have been a lot of reasons that I came home late. But you went late to that.
I'm really late this time.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and that's because our, what we perceive or what we were used to may have reflected that, and that now is, we're responding to something else that this person is not even presenting,
And Neil, you made a very good point earlier about feeling safe.
That safe part matters a lot. It matters a lot. And I had to learn that, your partner has to feel safe enough to share with you, to be transparent with you, all of the above. And if you're coming at him or her, 9 times out of 10, he's not going to be transparent because he wants to feel safe. He's like, I'm not sharing that with you. Like Darrell says, you're going to go to 10 and you're going to 10 because of all your issues, not because of what I'm presenting to you.
Right.
But even with being safe, remember that it continued upon where we came from. We might not have felt safe just coming into the relationship because of something that happened before. So you could be presenting a safe relationship, but they have to feed into it. They have to know it's safe. Right?
You're right about that.
Sometimes there's nothing you can do to make that person feel safe because it's something they have to deal with within them.
You are so right about that.
Every time you say something to them, it's like Doc said, it's an attack. Hey, what do you want to eat tonight? What you mean by that? What you mean?
You want me to cook? You trying to say I need to cook?
Right. What you mean?
You are so right though.
So at that point, now you feel like you're walking on eggshells because every time you say something, this person blows up. But that wasn't you that did that, and now you're kind of acquiescing to how they're responding to things, and you're not helping them, right? Because they're not going to feel safe. So sometimes you got to understand it's not you. Also, it doesn't have to be you all the time. It doesn't have to be you being unfair. It could just be that however they came to be the way they are doesn't allow a healthy relationship. Right? It doesn't allow. Some people are just not built for a healthy relationship from what they went through, whatever they saw. So their walls are up, their antennas up, they're always on 10. They need help before they can actually be healthy.
And it's even harder when most people are coming from those places of no safety. It can be even harder. They need help right away. Away to build any kind of stable, safe relationship. Yeah.
Very true.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, because then all the things that you use, all the tools that you use for healthy and fair fighting aren't really accessible because you don't have the capacity. You don't have the capacity.
Nope.
Right. Right. So that becomes tough. So, I mean, relationships are difficult. And again, any relationship, you have to learn how to see. First of all, you got to understand who you are and what you feel is safe and what you need. You got to know these things. A lot of times people are getting into relationships and not even knowing what they need. They're just very general. Like you said, I want to be safe. Well, what does that look like? What does that
mean?
What does that look like? I don't know what that means. And if you don't really know what it means, you just know you want to be it, there's a problem because no one else can be something that you don't even know what it is.
True.
How do you want to be talked to? All these things you have to know for yourself to help the other person know how to speak to you or how to treat you or what you expect of them. We have to know it ourselves first. That's the first thing we have to do. We can't just look at somebody else like, oh, well, you don't talk to me right. Well, how should I talk to you? Well, I don't really know, but not that way.
It's not that way, right?
That's when I'm like, what? So
I cannot. You gotta do this every week. Yes. Oh gosh.
You're right though. You are so right. It's a real problem. But it's so complicated. It can be so complicated.
It can be, but like I said, we have to. I think people we get in relationships because we expect it to, and we think this is what we have to do, and relationships are what it should be. But again, you rarely hear someone saying, "I want to be healthy enough to be in a relationship." I don't really hear that. I don't really hear that. I want to do the work before I get with someone to be healthy. Before I get with them, everybody just want to be with someone. No, and doesn't know what it takes to be with themselves. I can be with somebody else. And that's the problem, So we have to find ways to learn who we are and what and then even when we meet someone, we can tell them how we want to be treated, but also understand maybe whatever differences they may have and try to find some compromise on how we can make this thing work. Because it can't be all one way either. We can't just go in and we want this, and you gotta do this, and this. It ain't no room for me in this. I'm doing everything for you. How about, I need some things back. Okay?
I need some things back.
I'm working hard to make you happy, but hey, I'm not happy because I'm working hard for you.
Here's 3 for you, 8 for me.
Right. Hopefully it's 3 for me, because a lot of times it's 8 for me, and that's it.
Woo, honey.
We can't work on you because we're working on me right now.
It's a wonder that any of us make it with relationships.
Listen, it really is.
It's a wonder.
Absolutely, because a lot of times we just
how we made it. I can't even tell you.
Right. Without knowing you need, like I said, a lot of times we don't know we're in bad relationships. It's just normal. It's all we see. So we're like, what you mean? Shut up. Shut your ass up. That's normal. You know what I mean? That's normal. These is how we normally do things. Can't stand that, this, that, or the next. That's normal. Right? These are all normal things that we do. Or I'm leaving. I'm gonna be back in 3 days. Like, these are normal things. And I know we joke, but really a lot of relationships reflect a whole bunch.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
They reflect a lot of this negative things, and they think it's okay.
Yes.
Right. They think it's and they just learn to be unhealthy.
Yes.
They learn how to deal with unhealthy just to survive. So a lot of relationships struggle.
Some of them, even if they pretend that when they pretend they're working on a relationship, they'll try to take the healthy stuff and make it an extreme. You just reminded me of someone who would leave for 3 days. Doc said, when I need space, that's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
For the weekend. That is not what I said.
I didn't tell you to go away for 3 days.
Hey, so you remember when the doc said, if we have issues, we can go away? Well, I'll be back in a week. I'll be back in about a week or two.
Misconstruing.
And this is what the doc said. I'm just following the doc's orders.
Right.
That's all I'm doing. Right. This is what they said to do.
Unbelievable.
But again, right. And that's what people do. They'll use these things, and like I said, at an extreme.
Yes.
And it's tough sometimes if you don't, like I said, if you don't have the words and the knowledge or how to counteract these things. You're like, well, maybe a week is okay. The doc did say you can go away.
Maybe I can work on myself too during that time.
Love you.
Erica's
it's hard to work on yourself when you worry about what they're doing. You're like, what are you doing in the week?
No, you want to leave for 3 days? Go. Please. Yeah. You want me to help you pack? Okay.
See that young toxic relationship?
Go, right? They won't go because they're gonna be worried about what you're trying to do.
Right. Why you so eager for me to follow the doctor's order? You know what? I just help you. The doc said, "Go. I'm going to help you get up out of here."
Wow.
See, everybody listen to the toxic young relationship. Here's the toxicity you were talking about. Okay, we see it on display. Everybody, pay attention. Keep going, Erica. What else you do, Erica?
You help them pack. Reiterate it. You help them pack.
See how unhealthy that is, and it came out so naturally. It just came out like.
I thought that natural. I was helping you follow the doctor's orders. All I want was best for you. Okay.
We done started her now. You have triggered her.
That's all I want.
Hey,
I want the best for us. Okay. We are in this together. So let's be in this a few miles away from each other for a couple days.
Hey, I'm everybody pay attention. Watch these relationships for the younger people. This is what you're going to get, fellas. This is what you may get, or women. This is what you get.
Ooh. Oh boy.
Got to kind of watch it. We see what happens. She's going to help you pack for 3 days. She's going to meet your unhealthiness. Yes. She's going to raise your unhealthiness with her unhealthiness. Like, oh, here you go. I'm going to pack. I got you, boo.
Right. Since you came in here wanting to play this game on the doctor. Yeah. Oh, okay, let's go.
Right.
Well, go ahead and go.
She said she heard the same thing you heard. I heard the same thing. Goodbye. 3 days. I heard her say that. Now I'm gonna go do me. I'm gonna go turn up too, huh?
Loud and clear.
Unhealthiness.
Oh my.
Unhealthiness at its finest. Healthiness at its finest.
I cannot believe y'all deal with this every week.
Every week, Erica. Every week.
I'm telling you, as soon as the doctor say to
Man,
me,
he is really performing tonight.
Oh man.
Darrell should go away for 3 days. I'ma say, can we make it 10? Can you please prescribe? Write it on your notepad. 10 days.
I'm just saying that's a problem. We don't. We're not suggesting that that's how you should do things.
No.
That's
No.
opposite of healthy.
We are not going to suggest
But
that.
if they're in agreement, it may be okay.
Isolated incidents.
Okay, so we have more unhealthiness coming. See, look, guys, unhealthiness doesn't matter age. Okay,
It doesn't matter
There's unhealthiness
But it does matter.
at all
40
levels,
years.
guys.
It matters 40 years in one relationship. So yes, 10 days we need.
You know what? This sounds like I just seen something. I think Sierra released a song, a snippet, talking about not needing a man, but she's been married with 2 kids,
Yeah.
and people are in uproar. Yeah. See, sometimes married people give bad advice, or they're trying to derail
Yes, we do.
single people. I'm not sure. I'm just
Or they
telling you
get
guys.
tired, one of the two. Yes.
Right. I'm not sure exactly what is going on, but I see some bad advice.
That's like what's her name? Beyonce singing to the left. Like really?
Right. When she stands to the right.
Exactly.
Right. She ain't
Exactly.
ain't nothing in no box. I'm gonna stay home. I'm home. Right. But that goes to show again where people are targeting a market that they're not a part of. They're like, we know this sells.
Yes.
We know this sells. If we talk crazy about relationships and you leave and you don't need a man or you need a woman, we know that's going to sell. But we're happy in our relationship. We're married. We got kids. We living up. We got family photos. But we're telling you
drop your man off.
Right. And you believe the foolery. Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
You got to be careful with that. Yep.
But it's so interesting because it's like you see what they do, but you're believing what they say, even though they're doing something totally opposite. It's so crazy how we just want to crave the negativity because we're not even questioning like, well, you're not doing that, girl.
Right.
You got a whole man. Leave your man.
Leave right.
You know what I mean? Didn't he mess with Rihanna or somebody else? What? Didn't he?
Yes.
And you still standing by?
Cheating on you multiple times.
Right. Right.
This is what I do. I'm sorry, Beyonce. I just had a couple thousand indiscretions. And she stayed.
Yep. You're right.
So it's weird that we don't see that part of it, and we're not like, oh, you know what? She's working her way through it. We're like, no, she's saying leave. Beyonce saying leave your man, but she didn't leave her man.
She didn't leave.
And so it's very interesting that we do crave the negativity.
Yeah.
It's almost negative looks for negative, and we just look for the negativity. We don't want the positive sometimes, and that's what's really scary.
The positive they view is boring. They're like, that's boring. You're living a regular life with your family. That's boring.
Right.
There's the drama.
Give me some drama. Yeah.
It's a drama.
So y'all don't argue? Y'all don't call each other names and beat each other up and leave for weeks? And she help you pack your bag? Y'all don't do that?
Y'all sleep in the same room? What?
You know what I mean? It's crazy because if these people would actually talk about some of the things they're doing, because they have to do things to get where they're at. So they're probably in counseling. They're probably in all the things we're talking about, the healthy things, they probably are doing.
Yes, of course, yes.
But they refuse to say anything because they might lose. They might lose views.
It doesn't sell.
They might lose people.
It doesn't sell. It's boring.
Right. And that's so interesting that we can't even see the difference.
Nope.
It's right in front of us.
It's scary.
And that's the problem too.
It is scary.
They hide a lot of things. They hide a lot of things right in front of our faces.
Well, you know what? And even in saying that, being as though Instagram is so much more open and the celebrities are giving more of a view into their personal lives, the fact that it's known that you got cheated on, that he pushed you in a pool, that he done had 12 other kids, like where is the disconnect? Where is the disconnect in the people watching and saying and singing these lyrics, knowing that this is going on? And I'm sure there are people, I'm not on social media, but I'm sure that there are people attacking the people who are coming at Sierra and saying, why are you telling me to leave my man and you not with yours? I'm sure there are other people rebuttaling like, girl, shut up, mind your business. You know, like, no, this is a valid point. Why would she tell you to leave your man when she done been with her man for I don't know how long, doing, you know, we don't know, God knows what. You know, why is that okay? And why is it not okay for me to call it out? You know, why is it not okay for me to say that this is a problem? You know, why y'all so in your heads about this mess that you don't see?
Because the other fans, like you said, will be like, mind your business. They doing what they do.
Yeah, they would. They would.
Right.
And better yet, why are these people your role models? Sorry, guys. Yeah, why?
We're so used to putting the negative of a person that we're willing to, like I said, what we see, we're willing to forego what we see, right? We're willing to say, you know, Sierra or Beyonce, they're right. To the left, she's right, but she ain't never left nobody. She been with Jay-Z since she was like 5. You know what I'm saying? So it just doesn't make sense that we. It don't make any sense. The math is not mathing. And again,
is mathing in their pockets.
You know it, and it all goes back to what you see and what you around at home and in your growth and you know what you're exposed to as you are going through life yourself. You know, it's certain things that you will and you won't connect with. You know, it's certain things you won't allow yourself to go for, depending on what you've been around, what you know to be the, you know, maybe not the right thing, but you know, it's closest to the right thing, and they ain't completely the wrong thing. You know, you're aware of what those things are. You know, so you know better than to go online praising Sierra for this day on song. You know to come on the show and say, yeah, that girl is
again,
crazy. I don't know why she
it's kind of like we're so used to negative, that's what we attract, right? So if there's something positive, we're gonna see past the positive and go right to the negative part. Or make it negative. And that's what's happening. We're so used to negativity, we see the negative part. We refuse to see the positive. We refuse, and it can be right in front of us, but we're going to make it negative because again, how do we feel about one another? How do we feel about relationship? How do we feel about ourselves? It must be more negative than we want to let on. Because if not, we wouldn't be looking to the negativity so much. We wouldn't be looking to these people. It should really disgust us to see a house full of men or women just fighting. That should disgust. It should, like Ruth kind of said, it should get very little views.
Yes. Or when you're a positive person and you praise positive, they doubt it. So they don't doubt the negative though. Why are they doubting that you're giving good advice about how to live healthy, happy? They doubt it.
It's like Bizarro World. It's Bizarro World. Right? We really celebrate the negative.
I agree.
We really celebrate the negative. Anything positive, like you said, it's always like, oh, they don't know what they're talking about.
Exactly.
They think they know what they're talking about. But the dude who's going up top of the girl head or the girl's going up top of the dude head, you're like, oh, yeah,
that's the one you believe.
Right.
Yeah. That's
yeah. Oh, they're real. They're real.
Yeah,
exactly. You know what I mean? They're real. They're real. That's how you get down.
They keep it 100.
They keep it
100.
Right.
Yes,
they keep it a buck. You feel me? Like, so it's very interesting. And again, like I said, we have to start changing what we see. And I wish we were more in control of things because the negativity is the gatekeepers are letting all the negativity through, which is actually helping to destroy our community. And I got to say our communities because I don't see any other shows. I keep saying it, any other shows that are showing things like this. So it's helping to destroy our communities and it's helping to make us, to villainize us. Because if this is the only way I see you, you know, I'm in the Midwest where there's not many people that look like many people of color. And all I see on TV is you doing this nonsense. This is what I feel you are. right? So your drug dealers, your animals, your prostitutes, you can't control yourself. You know, even like the Will Smith, no conflict resolution. If you smack somebody on stage because they said something, again, one of the biggest stars at the highest level can't control itself because someone said something. You're sending a message like, this is how you respond to someone who disrespects you. You turn up on them, right? And then we see the direct correlation because we're killing each other at the highest rate right now, right? I can't worry about anybody else. I know in our communities, people are running around just shooting each other for little to no reason. No conflict resolution at all.
None. Or the few positive shows we had, or we do have, they're canceled in a few weeks or a few months because they don't want it to stay there. They don't want us to see those images. No, they don't want that out there.
Right. And like I said, it's a part in all, because like I said, I watch some of these shows. I see these girls fighting on TV. I'm like, look at these fools. And I'm kind of appalled, but I can't turn it off.
Yeah. Why are we watching? Yeah.
I can't, like,
you're in disbelief. You're in disbelief.
Right. I think that's what it is. Just watching, criticizing.
You don't even
believe that this is a normal thing, but like, oh my gosh, wow, she hit her kind of hard.
Right. Like, I don't know if it's more disbelief or if it's a guilty pleasure. Like, yo, she rocked her block. Like, damn.
Well, you might be right. Because I know my son Roger loves watching that stuff. And I'm like, honey, you weren't raised with that. What are you doing? He said, it's entertainment that I will never see anywhere else. So entertainment.
Right. But we don't understand that. By watching that.
Yeah, that's
by watching that.
Well, no, as somebody who personally, I don't believe I have a lot of drama in my life, and I definitely don't cause a lot of drama. So I do find it entertaining. They're the only drama in my life.
All of our drama. This is it.
I can seem to find it entertaining to watch some of that stuff because I don't have, drama. I'm not
reality.
Out fighting nobody. I ain't even around nobody that's doing that type of stuff. So when it's happening, I'm just like,
the real issue with these shows, are we don't really understand that we are actually being influenced by watching these shows, right? Watching it over and over. Now, when something happens, you may respond in a way that maybe you didn't know you would respond because that's all you see. So when that person cuts you off, hits you with the cart in the line, like, bitch, what you doing? Huh? You're like, whoa, wait a minute, did I say that? Did I just say that? That ain't really me.
It gets in. Generation who hasn't, developed their full sense of conflict resolution. That's what they're learning, Where as far as me, I know better, so I can watch it, and I'm not going to go off of somebody's head.
But you're rare. You're rare.
When you watching that kind of stuff, you're in the developing stages of conflict resolution and learning how to deal with problems, and this is what you're exposed to as to how to deal with problems.
Hey Doc, let's talk about it. I don't care how old you are, you're still influenced, right? Because that definitely gets in your psyche. Even me at this point watching this stuff is going to make me, I might respond because react, not respond. If I react to something, I may react like what I see. Because
that's
again,
you.
That
is you. No, blame that on you. I know that I ain't going outside and cracking nobody up here with a wine bottle. They came over to my dinner table and said something crazy.
Listen, this is when we have people who the reality is a little different, right? If you inundate yourself with certain things, you may not know. So it's funny. I remember I never thought video games really mattered, right? So I just play this game Need for Speed all the time, where I would run for the cops in the game, right? I would run for the cops. So I remember a couple times the cop pulled up. I'm like, I'm about to take off. Wait, what am I thinking? What the hell? I am not taking off. This is not a game. But I felt that in me, right? I felt it like the instant before I thought about it. I caught myself like, I'm not going to outrun this cop. Huh?
You easily influenced.
No, Erica, he said he played it like many times. It wasn't easy.
Again, remember, you are what you consume.
But I ain't trying to buy an AK-47 and shoot up my block. As much as I might want to, I'm not.
Listen,
Because
you're
a thinking person.
Well, even if you're a thinking person, what you see definitely is shaping you, and you may not know it.
Yes,
it is shaping you a little bit. Now, I'm not saying you're going to go 100% off the rails, but I'm saying that may influence you when you react, not respond when you react.
You're right. That was the argument against rap music.
Yes,
remember?
and video games. I did a podcast on it in high school, which is why I was glad.
I still believe it. I still believe it.
You believe it? That's not what my PowerPoint said. My PowerPoint said.
Right. Because your PowerPoint wants us to not know the truth. Your PowerPoint wants us to not know the truth.
I believe it.
Because
that was actually a debate team thing. If there was no solid answer, it was a debate team. So I was on the part of the debate team where we said it wasn't true.
Gotcha.
Well, Erica, you sitting next to the reason you kept it straight. Okay. Let's go there.
I definitely believe there's a direct correlation, because if you inundate yourself with something, you act that way, right? So if you see people right now, like I said, if you see the violence that's rising, it's rising for a reason. This person did it, got away with it. Well, you think they got away with it. This person did it and they got away with it, because sometimes you don't see what the outcome is. You don't see them getting arrested. You just know that little man killed 14 people, and you don't know what happened. So every time you see this, you feel like, oh, I can do that too. Or you desensitized from it. Because there's no way that people are just doing this to do it, right? You're doing it because you feel like it's okay. You feel like this is how you're supposed to react. This is how you're supposed to respond to someone stepping on your sneakers or someone, coming in your set. That's a learned behavior. You don't naturally just want to be like, oh, you came on my block, I want to kill you, right? That's usually through something else. And I do believe everything we do does influence us because it's teaching you something, right? If you keep hearing people talking about kill people all the time, most likely you're going to kill somebody. It really doesn't. If there's nothing that, just like we're talking about the relationships, we see all these negative relationships and people are following these negative relationships. If you got a man on live and a woman talking about, hey, get a joint that you can beat up, that can fight back, and this is okay, and nobody's canceling them, nobody's calling for them to be canceled, that means it's normal. That means it's okay if they're doing this without, they don't have no fear of losing anything.
Yeah.
Where can you go and say, it's okay to beat a woman up? Go on one of these white shows and say, beat a woman up. And I guarantee you're going to be canceled. They're going to be looking for you. It's going to be a whole bunch of stuff that happens, right? This is only allowed to happen because it's almost it's allowed to be normal. Yes. It's really allowed to be normal, right? Because even that argument, Chris Brown was like, yo, I did something a long time ago. These people are still doing it. They're getting celebrated for it. Why are they getting celebrated for it? That was his question. That's a real question. Right. That is a real. I have the same question, but the dude's response was like, "Yo, get a girl you can knock out." Like, whoa!
It was the wrong person.
Nobody's calling for him to be. Listen, nobody's calling for him to be canceled, right? Go out and say something about LGBTQ or the Jewish people or something like that, and see how fast you're shut down. But you talk about putting your hands on a black woman or a black man, and it's cool. Right?
But I see the flip side of that, though, Darrell, I kind of have to say, though, is, like we also said, this is a small percentage of people. So there is the other percentage of us that are exposed to these things, but were raised differently, brought up under different circumstances, have a different view of safety and influences and how you should react. So it's that double-edged sword, and what was instilled in you from the beginning. Nothing was instilled in you. So now all of these negative things that are easily to absorb, you can easily absorb, versus the person who has some things instilled in them where they can ingest some of this stuff, but still decipher right from wrong. I'm going to play Call of Duty, but I'm not going to go outside and play Call of Duty.
No, I hear what you're saying. Right, but so what I'm saying is that if we look at the way relationships are going today, that marriage is down, divorce is up, we see that whatever's going on is leading to people not being together, people not getting married, people not staying in relationships a long time, people thinking everybody's trying different things. You're trying 3 people in a relationship, 2 people in a relationship. I'm trying a guy in a relationship. I'm trying a girl in a relationship. Well, everything is changing at a rapid pace right now. Right,
but
it's even being taught.
It's all negative. So remember, some of these divorce rates and all of that stuff is due to people going to therapy and figuring out they not right. All right, I'm not right, so I can't stay in a marriage with someone else. We're both not right. We need to get a divorce. Now, so some of that stuff is correlating with, people being healthy.
Okay.
So it's the double-edged sword.
I still don't think it's a double-edged sword because therapy is still a small population that's really going to it, right? Most people have not gotten to the point where they say especially in our community. I don't know about other communities, right? Other communities, I hear they go more. I don't know the numbers on it. I'm thinking our community is not really big yet on going. We're getting there. We're talking about it more, which is great. Right? We are definitely talking about it more. It is great. So everybody's in that pre-contemplation state. A lot of people haven't took the jump to it because they're still worried about it costs too much because you don't know what it takes to do something at certain times. So you look at it like a boogeyman, like, oh, I don't know how to do it. I'm scared. I don't know how to go about getting it. Whatever the case may be. Still what I'm saying, even if the people are breaking up because they're going to therapy, whatever the case may be, relationships are still down. There's more people being single, right? It's still something going on. And I'm speaking in our community where we're not connecting, where we're not connecting. And we see a lot more negative things that are going on that are talking about relationships. We're seeing I don't even know where to go on TV to see a positive relationship of people of color.
Yeah.
Then you have people like the guy that died. I can never remember his name.
Kevin Samuels.
That's him. Yes. Yeah, people like him.
Oh, I've heard of him.
Yeah.
I don't know much about him, but I've heard of him.
Again, if you listen to him, he's not saying anything wrong for the most part.
But
he has some stuff he's saying is crazy.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Sometimes he get a little funky with girls when they get a little funky with him, but I've actually never heard him say anything completely off.
Right. There's been a couple of times I've heard him say something, but that's with everybody. Anything you listen to, you're going to have some good and bad.
A personal kind of issue kind of thing. But in what I've heard him try to explain in some of his, I guess, tutorials or lectures, but I also don't come from a place of needing to fight, nothing like that. I don't feel like I fit in some of those categories. And I believe he talked about that at a point too. If you don't feel like you fall into that category, you won't find anything wrong with what I'm saying. You can see the truth in it to a degree.
Right. Right. And that's the thing too. We don't know where to go to get help either. Right. So we'll listen to something. We'll listen to something that may not be directed. That may not be directed to us.
Yes.
It may not be directed to us, but we're taking it like it's about us.
Yes.
Or like I said, because I do agree, because a lot of people with maybe a Kevin Samuels who's talking about men who make $250,000, well, the man who's making $50,000 is trying to act like the man who's making $250,000 and he's not talking to you, right? It's two different conversations. So you're taking or adopting something that someone's talking about that may not be for you. That's the other thing too. We always take everything as a monolith. If someone speaks about us, it's about all of us.
It's about all of us.
This is all of us. We're talking, and it may not be. We don't understand. This may be a nuance for a certain specific part of us outside of. So, and that's the problem because we don't have anything really that's really out there. And even with Kevin Samuels, he didn't have a lot of solutions. A lot of these people don't have real solutions.
Yeah.
They just talk about things without solutions. And that's what we need. We need someone to come up with some more solutions. Like, hey, we know this is a problem. We know this is a problem. We know this is a problem. But how can we get to some consensus of fixing these problems? How can we make ourselves better as a whole, as a people? How can we meet each of our individual needs? That's what we need. And that's what shows like this do give sometimes some healthy tips or some answers to things. But this won't be broadcast everywhere. You know what I mean? This will be kind of kept away because the more positive you are, the less likely you're going to get promoted.
And the less people are going to be watching. People like to see the controversy. They want you to be sitting here telling somebody all the stuff they're doing wrong and all the things that are not right with
We're
them.
fighting amongst ourselves.
Yes, we're fighting.
Yes.
People will watch that. People will tune in for that.
If we start cussing each other out and calling each other names, we'll be viral tomorrow.
Ratings will go up.
Viral tomorrow. You know what I mean? We would be viral tomorrow if we got it in right now.
His authentic, true self. We will be viral tomorrow.
And if we cut out those sound effects, we really going up in numbers.
Listen.
All right, guys.
We
are 2 hours in tonight. Any last words? Any tips? Anything you want to share with people on how to help them fight in a healthy and fair way?
I just like to say, sorry, Darrell.
No, go ahead. You got it.
First of all, I like to call it disagreeing. Other than fighting, because you're going to have disagreements in any relationship. And it is a healthy thing because you're two individuals trying to live together, right? Or be compatible. So that's healthy to have disagreements. It's how you do it and setting up your boundaries and your rules while you're doing it that matter. And I won't take the extra because there's more.
Okay.
I'm going to leave Darrell that to say.
So for me, I just say, it comes back to, I think every show is about the same thing. It's about communicating in a way that you both can understand each other. It shouldn't be name calling or yelling. I don't believe those things to be okay in an argument. And I do think that you need to allow, if someone does say you put these rules in like no arguing, no cussing, no calling names. If someone does, out of anger, say something in that argument, you have to be big enough to say, hey, look, well, that's not what we're doing. We're not, you have to bring it back there. And, we're not supposed to yell at each other. Man, we're not supposed to yell at each other. Because I think we have to kind of balance each other out sometimes. Because someone may be more explosive and they may, fuck it. And you be like, hey, babe. Hey. We're not gonna fuck it. Okay, that's not what we're gonna do.
And in that voice, right?
Right. Well, yes, because again, I've noticed if I come down, right? If I come down,
seriously,
a lot of times they'll follow.
That's what I mean.
Right?
Seriously.
Yes, they will definitely follow. Because if you go up, they'll go up. But if you come down, like I can hear you yelling. You're too loud. I can't hear you.
Seriously though.
You're right.
I can't. You're yelling. Let's not. And they're like, man, he's too silly. And sometimes that might break the mood where they smile or laugh. And now you can go back and start talking about whatever it is that you were talking about. And that argument becomes more of a, like we'll say, a disagreement. Right? It's not as much as a fight. And even if you're fighting, understand that fighting doesn't have to be negative, right? We can fight. If, whatever you want to call it, we can fight. But I love you in that fight. And I'm just going to tell you how I feel. Like I said, we use a lot of I statements. I feel, I think, and not be accusatory, not try to say to the person, you're doing this, you're that. No, that's not what we need to do. So again, I believe in balancing. So if that person's up, then, and you have to be the same way. If you go up and that person says, hey, listen, calm down, you have to also calm down as well. You can't be like, well, I'm not yelling. That's not what we're doing. We're still yelling.
Erica.
I got one for Erica. No packing bags for 3 days.
Girl.
Yeah, there we go. I knew it.
Help him pack that bag.
I knew she was gonna do it. I knew it.
Pay attention. Pay attention.
Pack that bag.
No. I will say I was kind of just gonna piggyback off of Darrell, some of what he said. Just remaining a mature being in the midst of an argument, despite where it goes, is the most important. Because at the end of the day, it sounds selfish, or at least that's what people tell me. But at the end of the day, I don't want to be out of whack just because of an argument. So I'm not going to let this argument get to such a disgusting place that when I leave it, I feel disgusting. If anything, I'm going to leave it before it's disgusting. You can keep the rest of the disgusting argument for yourself. So just, knowing where you stand and knowing when it's time for you to maybe hang up, not hang up on the person, Darrell. Just maybe call that disagreement quits for the time being and moving on when you can't seem to find a middle ground with each other. It's always okay to revisit. You can always revisit a conversation. You can always revisit a disagreement. You can always revisit. Sometimes it's okay to leave it where it is until both people are in a space where they're able to hear each other.
Gotcha. And I want to say one more thing. I don't think we've talked about it. I think you need to find out what that argument means to your relationship, right? Because sometimes we're arguing about something that may not really be super duper. Like, are we going to break up over this? Are you never going to talk to me again over this? What energy do we need to put into this, right? Sometimes we're making something bigger than it may be. So you really have to make sure that argument is worth that argument. Right?
Got it.
Is it worth that argument? Like, do we need to argue over this?
And is it worth that energy? Like,
Right,
do we need to be up here talking about peanut butter?
Absolutely.
So does the energy fit the argument?
I mean, if it's crunchy peanut butter, maybe. I just want to put that out there.
And the thing we didn't get to, Doc, was the part about not being spiteful and stop doing good things for that person because of that argument. We'll get to that later, but
Next week we'll continue because we need to talk about that. We need to talk about that. Yeah, that is
being
really
spiteful in that. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Doc.
No, that's good. All right, so we're gonna talk some more about this. So I don't have to say anything else. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. We had a good time. We had some comments. People thought this was a good show. And catch us on the replay in the Facebook group Relationship Flow, YouTube, Sip and Chat. And we'll see you guys next week. If you have any topics you want us to cover, let one of us know. Or if you want to be on the panel, let one of us know. And we will see.
And if you're looking for a girlfriend,
let me know.
We'll pack your bags if you don't act right.
Listen, just know that too.
So nice to see her.
Whatever,
You need a good picture. Let me get out the way.
Okay, I don't need a good picture. They know that this is good, okay?
Cutie patootie. Cutie patootie.
All right, guys. We will catch you guys next week.
Hush now.